My name is Irina Chechulina. I'm working in Institute of Archaeology in National Academy of Science of Ukraine. Now I'm gonna share the screen with you. So again, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our online session today. It's highly important for all of us, and I'm personally very glad to be here with you. Today, I'd like to talk about different subjects in terms of one lecture. Today, we will talk about such ancient Greek polis as Olbia Pontica and Borysthenes, its location, features, and dating. Also, we will talk about their role in a trade point for all Greek world in northern Black Sea region. In this aspect, we should take into account the development of harbor facilities in these cities. And in the last part, I'd like to tell about one of the most important cargoes of ancient times, the tableware, and the Attic pottery, one of the biggest part of which consists of black-glazed ones. The ancient city of Olbia Pontica, preserved now as National Historical Archaeological Reserve Olbia in the Mykolaiv region in Ukraine. The city was founded on the right bank of the Dnipro Buk Liman at the turn of 7th-6th century BC by Malaysian colonists and existed till the 4th century AD. It wasn't reoccupied after abandoning. That was interesting. The city itself occupied a triangular-shaped territory on the plateau, as you can see on the map. It had three main parts. It's the upper city on the top of the plateau, the lower city down to the Liman, and the terrace area on the slopes of the plateau. Nowadays over 25 hectares of the city is covered by water of the Liman, unfortunately. In the ancient times, the shoreline was most probably 300-500 meters away from the modern level of the shore. So from the very beginning of the excavations at Olbia Pontica, archaeologists emphasized that strategically advantages of location of the lower part of the city, including its convenient access to natural harbors, and were convinced that a port with port structures such as docks and malls must have existed here. In case of Olbia, there may be evidences that at least some of these important features were present in the harbor area of the ancient times. Particularly a large open space revealed during excavation of strata of the late 4th to the early 2nd century BC in the sector of Ngs. There also, for example, not once were unearthed remains of stilobates dated to the first half of 5th century BC, and it was interpreted as part of the cult or public building. So it was suggested that it was second agora, which may have been located in the lower part of the city here, plus in addition to the one which was excavated in the upper city. So in the 4th century BC, in Olbia existed the agora itself and the emporium, which all could have been located in what is now the submerged zone of the lower city right here, within the city walls and near the water. An interesting finding were found in 70s. During the investigations of submerged zone of the lower city right here, was found what was called amphora field 1 and amphora field 2. So it was concentrations of amphora at one place. That was interpreted as storage facilities of 4th century BC. Also, if we take into account the importance of Olbia itself for trade for the northern Black Sea region during 5th, 4th centuries BC, it's likely that Olbia itself could have used more than one port, as did the largest cities and large islands of the Aegean. So the external economic relations of the cities of northern Black Sea region developed in two main directions. It's the trade with the large polis of the Mediterranean and Black Sea, and the trade exchange with the barbarian population of the steppe and wooded steppe zones. For a long time, Olbia played the role of mediator between the Scythians and other Pontic cities, or at least it served as a transit point. Also, according to some scholars, land roads that connected the wooded steppe zone and the shore of the Dnieper Bug Liman here must have existed even prior to Greek colonization of the region. The foundation of Greek colonies in the area led to intensification of the connections, and both waterways and land roads from Olbia to the steppes were used for trade purposes. So, as you can see, Olbia Pontica located at the intersection of land and sea trade routes. Hence, its port was a principal strategic object for the northern Black Sea region, as well as the final destination of a big amount of imported goods at that time. Borysthenes and Olbia have long been important points on the way to the other ancient cities of the northern Black Sea, both as transit port and as points of further distributions of goods. Developed port facilities in both Olbia and Borysthenes played an important role in commerce in the region. Olbia's foreign trade began with the foundation of the early settlement, the Emporium of Borysthenes, in 446 year BC. This island of Berezan is located about 40 kilometers from Olbia at the confluence of the Dnieper Bug and Berezan Limans right here, not far from the city of Ochakiv in modern Ukraine right now. This is a modern view, Berezan Island. This plateau, unfortunately, gradually being destroyed by erosion. Ancient Berezan was a peninsula, joining right here the mainland on the side from the shore where Ochakiv is located today. The latest data indicates that this emporium was founded initially as temporary one at first. Later, after, let's say, a generation, at the turn of 7th, 6th centuries BC, it became a permanent one. In addition, this event took place simultaneously with the founding of Olbia Polis. So this synchronicity suggests that demand of the Hellenic goods was so important that the presence of this exact transit point in the small microregion didn't make it economically unfeasible to establish another one in Olbia. So, on the way to Olbia, ships had to pass through another stronghold of the region, Borysthenes, right there. It was first founded as Emporium of Miletus, later as Olbia, by the way, itself. So later, after its establishment in the region of Olbia Polis, Borysthenes functioned as an Emporium of Olbia. And the economic orientation of the settlement in the early stage had commercial character. It's believed that a separate trading port was located in Berezan Island. The earliest ceramic date back to the middle of the 7th century BC, and architecture remains here at the end of 7th century as well. From the 6th century, the settlement started to become officially a part of Olbia Polis. It's quite aptly called the trade gate to Olbia. This is modern view of the cliffs of Berezan Island and map with current excavation and some of the findings, the most interesting ones. So, as you can see again from the map, the possession of Berezan Island was a key to keep in control of the local waters and therefore was vital for the security and defense of the Olbia city. So, owing to its strategical location, the island must have maintained its importance for Olbia during the entire time of her existence. Also, perhaps Borysthenes was also a checkpoint on the way to Olbia. Berezan and waters around the peninsula were part of the cabotage road to the northern Black Sea coast, in particular to Taurica, Crimean Peninsula. Ships heading not only to Olbia but also to other cities could stop here. Most likely, the port of Borysthenes didn't lose its important role even after appearance and development of the Olbia port. In fact, it had been suggested that this would be another reason why the harbor of Berezan must have continued to function even after Olbia started to use her own harbor. During this period, the cabotage road along the northwestern coast was still used not only by ships sailing directly to Olbia, but also by those who hid into the colonies located further to the northern coast of Black Sea. For the latter, it probably was more convenient to stop over at Berzan before continuing the voyage than to make a detour to Olbia here and then go back. So after ships started to use a shorter way and let's say more direct route across the sea on a regular basis, there was much less need for transit harbor of Berzan. So this development probably took place already at the end of the 5th century, first half of the 4th century BC, and has been linked to the foundation of the Greek city of Chersonesus, on the north coast of the Black Sea at the end of 5th century BC. So this road either went straight across the Black Sea from the southern coast to the northern coast, or alternatively combined the cabotage sailing along the western coast of the Black Sea with crossing open water from some point straight to the southern shore of the Crimean Peninsula. So presumably in the 4th century BC, some ships could still sail into the North Pontic region, and they still using the full-length cabotage road along the northwestern Black Sea coast. And this probably caused a decrease of maritime traffic in the area itself. The Berzan harbor may still have continued to function, of course, but on a smaller scale than before, serving primarily local needs and only occasionally as a stopover for foreign ships. So I'd like to tell that the Greek oikomen was a world full of extensive economical, political, cultural connections. People, goods, ideas, philosophy of worldview moved around the world extremely freely and actively that time. So these connections were extremely important for the effective development of ancient society. And in this regard, stable overseas trade and the constant distribution of goods of overseas markets were an important factor in the development of the economy and society in ancient times. The nomenclature of Athenian goods was diverse and stable from the very beginning of the 6th century BC, as goods from Attica were in general great demand. Agricultural products, primarily olive oil, metal artifacts, weapons, textiles, and of course, prestigious tableware were widely exported from Athens and Attica all around the known world in that times. Tableware in all techniques were part of big cargo supplied to the North Black Sea market during all periods of history. Attic black-glazed pottery was one of the most important groups of the pottery which were transported to the region. The emergence of systematic trade between Athens, Attica, and northern Black Sea coast took place during the second quarter of 6th century BC. Attic ceramics at the time of foundation of the first hypoikia were rather an object of luxury, so it's unlikely that it was a subject of trade at that time. So given the wide development of intermediary trade at that time, it's reasonable that the first samples of Attic were reached the colonies through the mediator of other foreign nations, for example, even from Miletus at first. The earliest finds of Attic ware in Olbia and Berzan dated back to 570s, 580 BC. It was made, as you can see, in black figure technique. Of course, trade at that exact time was sporadic, but from the second half of the century, it acquired rather a regular character and continued until the period of early Hellenism. A feature of the find of this time is their mass and exceptionally high quality of products. So on for a long time, tableware was a luxury item delivered to the North Black Sea market sporadically. But over time, these ceramics became a mass-produced item, which was a separate object of trade relation. Attic black-glazed pottery is one of the most mass material in Olbia. Thus, in these terms, Attic black-glazed ware played an essential role in a study of trade and economic relations between Olbia and Borisvanes with Attica in general. So, research of exactly this type of pottery allowed to demonstrate periods of increases and decreases of import level to Olbia Pontica, which surely correlates with the period of historical development of the polis and its connection with Athens and Attica as a region in general. So, the quantitative composition of the dishes was analyzed in relation to the main period of development of Olbia, its late archaic, early classic, and late classical period. Therefore, it was determined that during the first period, only the beginning of development of trade relation between Olbia and Athens, which had a sporadic character again, can be observed. So this is demonstrated by a relatively small amount of Attic tableware. It's only around 25% from all dishes belong to this period. At this time, there was a search for both new trade routes and, in general, new market for Attic products. Moreover, merchants from Athens needed grain from the Black Sea polis for their motherland, whose population was constantly growing. So during the 5th century BC, it was Olbia that became the most important trade intermediately between Athens and the cities and settlements of the North Black Sea region. At the time, the trade relation with barbarian population of the steppe were intensively developing, from other hand. So, the analysis of the given material, Attic black-glazed pottery from Olbia, proves that in the terms of the early classical period, in the center of diagrams, was not only the peak of trade relations, yes, of the region between Olbia and Attica, but also that was period of general elevation of material and spiritual culture of the city. So the dynamics of the arrival of Attic black-glazed ware clearly demonstrate us the large number of these products among the imported ware. The range and number of different types of the pottery is increasing. In this period between 420 400 BC, the collection shows the maximum number of different types. Thus, for the period of the early classical period in Olbia, the quantitative indicators of the import of Attic black-glazed ware show the highest values. It's around altogether 43% of all total amount of the pottery. As for the late classical period in Olbia, it was associated with the exit of the polis from the Athenian League, the general weakening of the foreign economic ties with Attica caused by both external and political circumstances of the life of Athens. During 380-50 BC, indicators fall sharply, decreasing almost by 2 times. The share of dishes from the period is 33% in general. And since then, the volume of tableware imports has been decreasing. Consequently, from the end of late classical period and beginning of Hellenistic period, let's say, Olbia's trade with Attica gradually lost momentum. And economic relations between these two states never returned to their previous level of development. The main role in economics life of Olbia at that time was already played by Hellenistic city of Asia Minor. Those Attic black-glazed ceramics are invaluable source of knowledge for the study of the daily life on ancient Greeks, funeral rites, sacred rituals, etc. Also, this subject is a great source for the study of the dynamic of the development of economical relations between Olbia, Athens, Attica in general, because at this moment, not all the material from Olbia, as well as a large part of the city itself, has been discovered yet. Therefore, further research, taking into account the maximum number of statistical indicators, not only from Olbia, but also from other police of Northern Black Sea region, will provide the opportunity to reconstruct the trade relations of the region from new angle and reproduce the trade and economic ties of the Northern Black Sea region with Attica on higher level, which is really important for a modern level of knowledge. As for Olbia Police, so its harbor played an important role for Northern Black Sea during the entire time of its existence. It was certainly the most important harbor of the region and comparable in many aspects to the major Mediterranean police. Olbia was for the Northern Black Sea region what was Piraeus for Attica, not only the principal port for entry for goods, but a great redistribution center. At the end of my presentation, I'd like to emphasize the important role of current project, which you are supporting right now, and we appreciate it very much. As I said, Olbia Pontica locates only in 33 kilometers close to Mykolaiv, and nowadays it suffered a lot from a missiles attack from Russian army. In the last few days, and right now, it was and still bombing lots of time. So what we are doing right now, it's very important. Currently we were trying to preserve our material, our heritage from this site as much as we can. On the territory, we have 2 big museums, and thanks to our colleagues, we managed to save lots of the objects, and now it's a little bit safer than before. And this is exactly how we can help to save our own heritage, to keep it safe for now and to take care about this material till next research. Another great way to help in preservation of our heritage is to digitalize Ukrainian archives and some of the materials, the most important ones, as we planned with your help to do in the future. So as you can see, we're trying our best and we appreciate any possible help from our foreign colleagues, and we all pray for your helps and prosperity. Thank you very much for your attention. Please be free if you have any questions. I will gladly answer it.
Thank you, Iryna, for the fascinating talk. I definitely have a number of questions, but the first one is about the illicit trade on Olbia. Like it always become a popular topic about what's going on with Olbia artifacts, the illegal trade, and everything around it. And what is about it now? What's going on there now?
Well, thank you for the question. It's really hard question for all scientists. You know, it's like national reserve now, so it's under protection somehow, but due to the fact that territory is so big, even like in normal days without war situation, it was really hard to preserve all that territory, because yes, we had and we have smugglers, even Ukrainians. It was before, and unfortunately it's the main true. Nowadays it's even more hard because of course security can't work normally. Our director of the reserve fund, he's in the military now. We all support them. Lots of our workers, archaeologists also are serving now. So of course we understand it's not the right time to talk and to, I don't know, not to save our Olbia, but still for us it's important. Of course at first it's life of people, but we are thinking about heritage as well. Of course, some of the materials are going away, we know that, and as I showed you for the photos, it's only a few of them what we have actually. It's all, we're afraid that can be destructed with bombs and missiles, and we are really afraid about our heritage there.
Of course. And another one, like rather ecological one, have you tried any underwater efforts around Olbia or near Berezan to?
Yes, of course. Not last season, but a few seasons before, a few years before, it was expedition from National University of Taras Shevchenko. So a few seasons they actually looked at some signs of underwater buildings, which I showed on the map. And before that, it was rather 70s, 80s. A few tries to do some excavations there. And around Berzan Island, every year actually took place some underwater excavation, but surely it's all under, in Ukraine, it's all question of financial situation. So it's all like for the cost of researchers, but still it's so like we have ambitions to do more in Ukraine and around Olbia and Berzan Island as well.
Because this sounds like, yeah, something can be found there. Okay,
Yeah,
so
really.
thank you very much for your talk, and
Thank you.